Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian from Whisper Status 74. This video is about trying to figure out when it's time for you guys to upgrade. And the topic is primarily if you have a 4K display and you're looking to upgrade, when is the proper time, or to help you make that decision of when that time should be to make sure you don't take a step backwards. This is a follow-up to a video that I did just yesterday, which was about being content with your purchases, your large purchases, and just sitting back and enjoying the content. And that video was very well received. Thank you so much for all the amazing comments. Some of you found it very therapeutic, as I'm very overwhelmed and humbled by the response, and I really, really appreciate all of you guys. But there were some comments in there about people that are like, that's awesome, but I'm looking to upgrade. Now we're going to break this down into separate camps of people that upgrade, and we'll cover really quickly those of you that are looking to purchase 4K TVs for the very first time. Some of you guys are moving up from monitors or an older plasma and you're looking to get into 4K. It's an excellent time to get into 4K. This video is going to just cover a little bit of you guys, and then we're going to get into those of you that should upgrade. Those of you that are getting into it for the first time, there are a few things I want you to consider, or I think you should consider is what I should say. Before you go and purchase, is know the kind of picture quality that you like. What I mean is knowing what you already have. If you're somebody who's coming from a plasma background, for instance, somebody who's used to the plasma picture quality, you may find LEDs to be daunting. You may find blooming and things that are side effects to their picture quality to just be very blunt, or, very... It might be a very acute feeling when you see it. You might say to yourself, whoa, what is that? What you see here from the camera is blooming from the camera. That's not blooming that is actually on the actual display. For those of you that have never seen blooming before, that have plasmas, I always recommend, or typically recommend, OLED as the next logical step, as I feel they are very, very similar. But it's very important to know what you're coming from. If you're somebody who games on as one of the guys in the other videos plays on an Asus monitor with 0 response time and 1 millisecond of input lag something that you're going to want to look at as being as low as possible. Some displays like the TCLs and the Vizios have very low input lag due to, their HDMI 5 for the Vizio that has all processing removed. There isn't an HDR for that, takes it as low as possible. Or the Samsungs that have the variable refresh rates and a lot of the gamer-centric features. That's something you're going to want to look at. So these are things that you're going to want to consider when you buy your first 4K TV. You can do a whole video on that alone. More importantly, your environment, where it's going to be, who's watching it, are your children watching it? That might get you away from OLED. So there's a lot of variables that I want you to take into account when purchasing your very, very first 4K display. Your usage, your needs, what's the ratio? Do you game on it? Do you watch movies on it? Do you watch shows? Are you watching it in your living room where it's a cable TV, mostly satellite? Some displays, like some of the Vizios, aren't great at upscaling. Sony's are well known for upscaling. Some OLEDs don't look great upscaling due to their motion. Their motion is very good for certain things, not great for cable TV. Little things that you're going to have to think about. So before you go pick your 4K TV or what you're thinking about, know your usage, your environment, what you like in terms of picture quality. I can tell you all day that I love plasma or I love OLED, but I can't guarantee that you're going to like it. A quick example is, I, like many of you, had heard about plasma being the best picture quality of all time for years and years and years. The Kiro Elites, the Pioneer Elite, the Panasonics. So when I first bought my first plasma, I went on that advice and how amazing it was. And I have to tell you, initially I really struggled with it. It was nowhere near as bright as my previous Sony LCD at the time. And I was a little bit disappointed. I grew to love it, and in my opinion, it is amazing. I love plasma. They are legendary. But I'm saying to you guys is really know what your tastes are. Do you like very colorful images? Do you like, Samsung has a more saturated look, a wider color gamut. Do you like your image to look more natural? Do you want it to look more even? Sony's and Samsung's don't look similar as far as how they process their color, their chips. These are things you want to know. Again, the usage, do you have children? Are they going to be a risk for burn-in? Are they going to watch the same content over and over? Back to what I said about the Vizios. I bought the Vizio without a problem because I didn't have cable TV. I don't use cable down here in this room. This is a small room for media only. Upscaling doesn't mean anything to me in regards to 480p or 720p. It's mostly 1080p. So that's something else to consider. So now we've covered new buyers in the first few minutes of this video. We're going to talk about you guys that are looking to upgrade. Now I'm going to bring in one sub that I want to talk about right from the beginning, and that's Body on Frame, who has been part of the channel from the very, very beginning. I'm going to say what's up to him. He's been in a couple of videos as far as his topics. The main upgrade option for me, or the biggest reason to upgrade for me, is size, is moving up in size. There are a few things. When you first purchase your first 4K TV, a lot of you go from the same size you had to the next size, not allowing for the smaller bezel. Now, there are videos on the channel that show you that a 55-inch LCD may in fact be bigger than a 65-inch LED. Makes no sense. But the bezel on these displays, or the bezel on your previous displays, are like picture frames. So sometimes you go and get the same size that you have and you realize, oh my God, that's actually not anywhere near as big. As well as these TVs are, or at least I know the Samsungs, are not true 75. They are the 75 class. So they're 74. It's minimal. But if you're coming from a size larger, I typically would say to move up. Some of you, upon purchasing displays, didn't do that or didn't have the budget to allow for that. What I mean by that is, when 4K first launched, or even a few years ago, 55 inches was the sweet spot. 65 inches was rather large. 75 inches was the behemoth. The 75 inches from 65 inches was a couple thousand. But even 55 to 65 at the time was $500, $600, maybe $700. In OLED, it was $15,000 for a 77-inch OLED. That has changed. The brand new 8K Samsung 900R, which I did a video on, I think is $7,000. That is the 8K version. My TVs in 2016 were $9,000 for TVs that size. So they have changed. Meaning those of you that purchased these displays a few years back, Body on Frame being one of them, love their display. It's just not the size they wanted. They're either too far back. Now, the rule of thumb years ago with 1080p, they had distance for how close you could be and how far away you should be based on 1080p. 4K allows you to be very, very close. And that's going to be the main selling point on 8K. But this is a 75-inch 900E. I play video games 5 feet from it. I don't see pixels. I don't see degradation of image. I love being as close as possible. But some of you have gone the other way where you're farther away from a 55-inch TV. My plasma on the wall upstairs is 65 inches, and for me, that's too small for that room. But I'm used to this. 80 inches is now the new behemoth. 75 inches is not quite the sweet spot. 65 inches is still the sweet spot in terms of TVs being affordable. So for Body on Frame, I know since he bought his display, he's been aching to move up. And that is the largest, at least for me, the quickest or biggest reason to upgrade is size. If you're going from one display to the next, take that smaller display and move it to another room. I completely understand that. And this video isn't trying to dissuade you from upgrading. This is just the many reasons there are to upgrade. So Body on Frame, thinking about you, my friend. I know you want to upgrade in terms of size. Again, 4K immersion to me is most important. The size does make a difference in terms of immersion, especially, guys, we never think about letterbox films. So the larger the aspect ratio, or I should say the black bars are, that's real estate that doesn't, that makes the display look even smaller. Especially those of us that go back to 32-inch Trinitrons, where I watched widescreen movies back then, and out of a 32-inch square CRT, the movies were like this. And I was like, cool, that's the way it's supposed to be. So 75-inch when it's full screen is jaw-dropping. 60 when it's widescreen, I'm like, but I can see where a 55-inch TV would feel smaller. A lot of you guys have 42-inch, even smaller than that. So that is the first reason to upgrade that a lot of you guys are looking to. The next group of you guys also came in buying 4K displays prior to HDR being commonplace. I had a Samsung JS. That display can be upgraded through a One Connect, what's called Creation Kit. I'm not sure those displays were 10-bit, so it wouldn't make a big difference, but some of you have 4K 8-bit. Some of you don't have HDR, and it's killing you as you're finding out that Dolby Vision HDR is the biggest difference between 4K and 1080p. I don't always agree with that. I think the 4K resolution is a big difference, especially in gaming. In movies, it's negligible. A lot of these films don't look better in 4K. A lot of them look amazing in 4K. So HDR, that's the next one you guys are thinking about. As well as HDR, some of you came in purchasing a display that was affordable at the time and maybe didn't have a wide enough color gamut, wasn't bright enough, that didn't really meet the needs. The needs that you had at the time were 4K. Maybe you have a little more money and you're looking to upgrade. These are all, for me, the best reasons to upgrade. Then there's that other group of guys and girls that are out there that just want the next best thing. And you're that special group that basically says, cool, I bought a TV a couple of years ago. I'm happy with it, but I have the itch. Fade to Black, who I brought up on the channel a few videos ago, went through a lot of displays. He has a Sony 930E, which is a very current display. He's very happy with it, but he's getting the itch. He wants something maybe a little larger, but he wants, he's like many of us. We're enthusiasts. We love this. We want to keep going and keep getting that next best thing. The problem with those of us that decide to do that means we're jumping right back into the panel lottery. That sometimes defective panels, as you're seeing with a lot of TVs now. Some of you are on your 5th and 6th TVs. I talk to you guys all the times in the comments. If you're going through the panel lottery, please contact me. Get me on Instagram, message me there, or contact me here. I would love to just walk you through some of the pitfalls, and we'll do a video on that as well. When to pull yourself away from certain retailers before they block you, such as Best Buy or Amazon. Sometimes the best thing to do is catch your breath, stay with your old display for a little bit, and just wait it out. But that is defective panels. We're not talking about defective panels. We're talking about upgrading from what you have now. So out of all that group, size, figuring out the size you want to go with, in my opinion, the bigger, the better. As far as the bezel, what you can measure, go on to your any of Amazon or Best Buy, look up specifications. Do not worry about your diagonal. Measure them with stand, without stand. Is the stand wide enough? And you'll be surprised at how large a display you can fit when you're measuring it width-wise and not diagonally. You'll be surprised what you'll be able to fit. Also, the stands are a main concern. I like my stands this way. I don't like the feet being spread out. I think Monster Lover, we were talking about the feet being spread out. The reason the feet are spread out for these displays has nothing to do with balance. It is primarily to do so they can sell you a sound bar that can correspond with it and fit underneath. Some of them have stands that go in. I like mine is right to the very edge. I don't hang TVs. The reason I don't, nothing wrong with it, is that I had so many defective ones that I hung a bunch of them and I had to take them all down. And the holes are on different, you have to measure it differently. So for me, I would need a much wider stand for a 75-inch TV. Be mindful of that. Check the size you want. Go as large as you can afford. Now, I don't, if you're going from, say, 42 inches, I wouldn't say jump up 75 and, get crazy with less quality. Try to get the most quality and largest display that you can. I don't suggest going into the much cheaper 80-inch TVs. I don't suggest doing that. I suggest getting the best quality you can for the price and jump up, as much as you can deal with. But some of you have gone from 42-inch TVs to a bare bones Samsung or Sony, and you're not really happy with it. You're not happy with it because it's 70 inches and it has light bleed and it has issues. I did a video of an LG 80-something inch in Philadelphia, and the light bleed and the edge-lit problems made that display unwatchable. And I wouldn't take that display for free. Not the LG, but the display I was looking at, because the light was not through the black bars, but into the actual image. You can see that video on the channel. So don't just chase size. Do your research, find out what you need, and then go there. Now, that is the rest of you that are looking at upgrading to HDR. Think about HDR10, HDR10 Plus, which is part of Samsung, and also Dolby Vision, which you'll see with your OLEDs, part of Sony, LG, Vizio, TCL, have both formats. Weigh that. Are you going to be watching regular TV? Is it going to be a streamable affair, or is it going to be Blu-ray discs? Again, know your usage. Now, for that special group, that group that wants to upgrade, this is all I can really say to you is realize what you have first. Okay, so this goes back into that being content video. So realize what you have and what you like about that display. That is your new baseline. This is a Sony 900E. This is my new baseline. Any display that I go up from here needs to beat this one. Not by a little bit, but by whatever price that TV is versus this one. This one's paid for. It needs to be more than $300 better for me to buy a new one for thousands, is what I mean. So if you're somebody who's going from as fade to black is a Sony 930E, what you're looking for is a display that does more than 1500 nits. You're looking for a display with better motion. You're looking for a display with better processing, better upscaling, something full array. Even though the 930E has amazing edge lit local dimming, you're looking for something that is that much better upscaling that Sony has. So these are things that you have to think about. Don't just chase one number. If you're somebody who has a Samsung and that 8K is calling you, well, if you have the Q9FN and the 8K is calling you, you may take a step back in the Q900R in terms of its picture quality. And you're going to notice that once you get home. You're going to sit there and say, wait a second, my other display was better. Now, we talk about regretting purchases. Nothing is more regrettable than the display you have not being better than the one that you had previously. That is devastating, and there's not a lot you can do about it. TV retailers, they're not really great with you guys returning displays because you don't like them. You can't return an oven because you don't like it. You can't return a refrigerator because you don't like it. You can't return video games because you don't like them. You can return them and take a restocking fee, or you can be disingenuous and say there's an issue with it. I know a lot of you guys don't want to do that. I don't suggest lying, obviously. That's being disingenuous. But you have to really make sure you know what you want and what kind of picture quality you want. Some of you are going from larger displays to smaller OLEDs, and you're regretting that, as the picture quality in your mind is better, but you really miss the size. So really knowing your needs and knowing what features you're coveting. If you're chasing something like HDMI 2.1, why? Do you have a PC that can run 4K at 120? Do you have the HDMI capability on your graphics card? Things that you want to double check. A lot of you guys are looking forward to the PS5 and the Xbox One Anaconda because of the FreeSync, variable refresh rate. Well, I would kind of wait and see if these corresponding TVs connect to them. Is it going to be, we talked about in the channel, it's all the gamer-centric features. Let's make sure that they correspond before you chase one. So I wouldn't suggest just throwing yours out and chasing one specific feature. My advice to you guys is this is your baseline. Whatever TV you have at that time is where you start. And make sure that this next one does everything better. Back to the 900E. In the lineup of 2017, you have the Sony 900E, 930E, 940E, and the Z90. The Z90 was actually a 2016 flagship. Of all those displays, the 940E, in my opinion, had the best overall picture quality. The 930E was amazing. And then there was the 900E. And the 900E was considered the weakest of the bunch, and it was the mid-tier. It's also the most popular of the group, and it's my favorite of the entire group. Why? Well, it suits my needs. This by far has the best motion and pixel response of its step-up models. That's huge, meaning that if I got rid of this display and you offered me a Z9D, I wouldn't take it. Now you're going to say, well, that's bull. A Z9D blows it away. It does in some ways. In motion, it does not. It doesn't. My needs are based on gaming. So my point is, if I go chasing another upgrade and the motion or pixel response is slower, that's going to be an issue. it's actually going to cripple my usage. My usage is down here is 90% gaming. So that's a good example of what you're looking for. If you love bright TVs and then you're moving down to an OLED, I'm saying down simply because the nits are going to be less, it's going to hurt. Some of you have done that. You've gone to OLED because of all the picture quality hype and how amazing they are, but you're like, I really miss that peak brightness. Some of you have gone the other way, where you've gone from an OLED, very even, beautiful image, and you've chased the high peak brightness because of all the hype around nits, 1,000 nits, 2,000, 3,000, and you're saying to yourself, "Ooh, it's too bright. It's hurting my eyes. I don't like it," and it's a little bit fuzzy in comparison to the blacks of the previous display that you had. So upon upgrading, know what you want, know the strengths of the TV you have and the weaknesses that you have, and really try to see how they correspond. Really look at what you have first. What am I looking at? Orange is the new black. What you're looking at first, and then say, I want to go up. I need to move up, not just in one, not just in size. If you get a larger display and it doesn't look as good as the one that you had, you're going to kill yourself. Not going to kill yourself. You're going to be hurting. You're going to be sitting there and saying to yourself, oh my God, my TV looked better. I did that with my plasma when I first got into 4K. I spent all this money and my plasma looked better in some ways. Also, I wasn't used to blooming or anything like that, which is why I mentioned plasma to OLED. So knowing what, hold on. Sorry about that. You have to watch the Netflix Our Planet. Phenomenal. Violent as hell, and it's scary. Don't let kids watch it, but it is amazing. Amazing. I believe it's Dolby Vision too, but gorgeous. Talk about that another time. Anyway, using it as your baseline, knowing what your TV does very well and what it struggles with. Everything that it does well, the next iteration needs to do better. Okay, so for Fade to Black, who is looking at the Vizio Quantum X, perhaps, is okay. Well, the Quantum X is brighter than the 930E, which is crazy. It's full array. It's got 5 HDMI inputs. So he's going to be looking at that, and he's going to be looking at costs. So that's where everything has to be better. In my opinion, upgrading nothing should be a step back. Nothing should be a step back. I don't think you should have a drop in contrast if you're moving up. Like we said about if you're somebody who has a Q9FN or Q8FN, the new Samsungs for you may be an upgrade in some ways, but they're going to be a step back in others. And you're going to have to discern if that's acceptable. For me, it's not acceptable. I need everything that I get in the next one on top of this amazing 900E. It needs to be better, substantially better. Now, the Quantum P Series X is one that I'm considering. I will wait for reviews, and it should be substantially better in every possible way, from Dolby Vision to peak brightness to more zones, to its motion, everything. Even though this one has excellent motion, they have to be somewhere at least close, if not better. Now, if the Quantum P Series is reviewed and it has a slow pixel response, no way in hell am I going to buy that, because it's going to feel like the whole thing's blurring in comparison to how fast this is. Gamers, input lag. You're looking for a lower input lag. So my point is, before you upgrade, really know that baseline. Really know what you're looking for to improve. Don't just listen to me and other channels. Somebody like Vincent from HDV Test and guys like Artings, AVS Forums, Digital Trends, there's a lot of them. Get to know the reviewers. Vincent from HDV Test, he's a calibrator, professional calibrator. He likes a very natural image. He likes things to look correct by being a calibrator. The color space has to be correct. The TV has to be in line. There's no guarantee you'd like that image. If he came into your home and calibrated your display, he's going to take off all the processing that you may like. So for those of you that want to know what TVs you like, then do you like the motion? Do you like soap opera effect? I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. I'm just saying that know what you like before you upgrade, and then knowing what you love. I don't want you to have any regrets in upgrading. I don't want anything to be a step back, but know every single step of what the display you have does well, where it struggles, and then move up. Don't move back in any capacity and in any way. So the motion on this is excellent. It's going to be hard to find one that's better. I can't go with one that's worse. And that's how you're going to judge upgrading. Size is size, guys. I would upgrade size, but if you already have an excellent display with amazing picture quality, I would not move up to weaker picture quality for size. Like, so body on frame, I think you have a 900E. I would not go below that for a larger display, because all the larger display is going to do is show the weaknesses of the image. If that picture is washed out, it's going to look more washed out because of how large the display is. So I've covered basically all the bases on when to upgrade, why to upgrade. But more importantly, before I get out of here, I want to just tell you, do not go backwards, because you will feel it. And I know it's attractive. A lot of you guys are throwing different displays at me. Hey, I saw this on Craigslist. I don't recommend buying anything off of used sites. TVs are way too fickle to take a chance on that. But really do your research on that. Make sure that it's much better than what you have. New time buyers, chances are it's going to be better than your old LCDs and things of that nature. Check the color gamut. Almost every display out now has a wider color gamut. They're all 10-bit. But if you're going to look to upgrade, make sure you know what you're upgrading to. One last thing, if you're somebody who's upgrading for HDMI 2.1, I would wait for HDMI 2.1 and 12-bit, because that's going to be the next thing. But again, if you're attracted to the variable refresh rate of the new systems coming out, in my opinion, they're not going to do 4K 60 or 4K 120. That's, for me, really far away. But I wouldn't chase one little thing. I would chase many and make sure that it does things better than your previous. All right, guys, this video is even longer than the last one. I am so sorry. Thank you for all your feedback and for being very, very patient. Good luck with upgrading. I am here for you if you have any questions, or if you want to do some comparisons to other displays and get my my thoughts on the display that you're looking at. Also, look to the community. They are very responsive. They will answer your questions. They're all a great group of people. And all I can say is thank you so much. If you're upgrading, good luck, and I'll be here for you. Take care. Bye.